Welcome to the exhibition Intertwined, Transpacific-Transcultural Philippines at the newly renovated galleries of the Ayala Museum. I am Florina Capistrano-Baker, curator of the exhibition. In the 1950s, the late artist, collector, and scholar Fernando Sobel de Ayala y Montojo envisioned an art museum that would showcase visual expressions of the complex history and transcultural heritage of the Philippines. Sobel devoted much of his art and scholarship unpacking the essence of Filipino identity. This exhibition seeks to illuminate our Trans-Pacific heritage generated by regional and global maritime exchanges from prehistory to the Spanish and early American colonial periods, when ancient trade networks in the Indian Ocean and the South China Sea stretched across the Pacific to Latin America, North America, and Europe. Manila was the Asian fulcrum of this early global exchange, playing a key role in complex, multi-directional circulations of cultures whose impact survives in the material cultures of Asia, Europe, and the Americas to this day. There are 8 sections to the exhibition, beginning with Sobel's selected works and research on Hispano-Filipino material culture. His seminal volume studying the importance of Spanish colonial art in the Philippines, entitled Philippine Religious Imagery, published by the Ateneo de Manila University Press in 1963, include many black and white photographs and his own line drawings and illustrations. Religious rituals were a recurring theme in Sobel's paintings. His well-known Carosa series depict the celebrated Nuestra Señora de la Consolación in San Agustin Church in Intramuros, which he saw in a procession. The next 7 galleries are best viewed by following the undulating platform display as it travels back in time, seeking to disentangle the intertwined threads of our transcultural identity. We embark on our journey to greater self-knowledge with familiar pastoral images championed by the national artist Fernando Amorsolo and his popular portrayals of the ideal Filipina. We also encounter important works by Amorsolo's contemporaries, such as Vicente Dizon, who, like Amorsolo, won a top prize for painting at the U.S. expositions of 1936. Like Amorsolo's pastoral images, Filipino identity is intertwined with the soulful strains of the Kundiman, a serenade for freedom in the guise of a love song. Musical scores for Kundiman are included in bound albums of Tipos del País watercolors by Jose Honorato Lozano, such as one dated 1850 to 1851 in Ayala's permanent collection. Transcultural elements are evident not only in hybrid musical forms, but also in the fusion of Filipino cuisine, which combine local and imported ingredients and cooking techniques. Manila's trade relations with Latin America and Spain through the Manila-Acapulco galleon trade from the late 16th to early 19th century are well known, but the 18th to 19th century trade between Manila and the early American Republic that began in 1796 is less known. The port city of Salem, Massachusetts, was the fulcrum of the early U.S. trade with Manila. Tipos del País, or country types, portraying local inhabitants, garments, and occupations, were popular souvenir watercolors circulating during this period, with the artists Damian Domingo and Justiniano Asuncion among the best-known practitioners of this genre. Ayala Museum's Tipos del País album, donated by Fernando Sobel in 1971, consists of important 19th century Chinese copies of the only known album circa 1820s signed by the artist Damian Domingo in the Newberry Library in Chicago, which was exhibited in the Philippines for the first time in 2004 here at Ayala Museum. From the section on entangled empires, referencing competing European powers seeking trade relations and control of Manila, we proceed further back in time to the nearly 400 years of Spanish presence, beginning with the first contact and circumnavigation of the globe by members of the Spanish expedition led by the Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, whose 500th anniversary we mark in the Philippines in 2021. Some scholars have suggested, in fact, that what we now identify as Filipino culture originated in the well-known Manila-Acapulco trade that began in 1565 when Miguel Lopez de Legazpi and Andres de Urdaneta successfully navigated the Transpacific route from Mexico to the Philippines. Chinese silk and tropical products bound for the Americas and Europe were traded in exchange for silver from the mines of Cusco and Potosi. The most popular silk cloths aboard the galleons were the so-called mantones de Manila. The international demand for the prestigious silk shawls intertwined elite classes in the Philippines, Mexico, and Spain as part of traditional Spanish, Mexican, and Philippine identity. The oldest Catholic image in the Philippines is the Santo Niño de Cebu, enshrined in the country's oldest church in Cebu. Legazpi's men discovered the wooden image believed to be the same statue that Magellan had gifted the wife of Cebu's Raja Humabon in 1521. Said to have originated from Flanders, similar to those circulating in Mexico, the sculpture inspired numerous three-dimensional iterations in wood, ivory, and two-dimensional paintings. Legazpi's arrival in Cebu is also credited with bringing the popular Mexican devotion to Our Lady of Guadalupe to the Philippines. These devotions to the Santo Niño and Our Lady of Guadalupe entwined the Philippines formally and conceptually with Spain and her overseas territories. After Spanish conquest and conversion, extravagant displays of gold adornments illustrated in the 16th century manuscript known as the Boxer Codex gave way to visual expressions of Catholic piety. Among the different types of devotional jewelry that replaced pre-Christian forms is the iconic tambourine, a necklace that is descended from the Catholic rosary, made of ornate beads of diverse sizes and decoration, arranged in symmetrical patterns, meeting at a central bow from which dangles a cross or an elaborate relicario. Before sustained Western contact, pre-colonial coastal polities were not isolated communities, but actively engaged in trade with China, India, and Southeast Asian neighbors. Cebu, for example, was a bustling port visited by traders from Borneo, Thailand, and China, among others, at the time of Spanish contact. Similarly, the 10th to 13th century polity of Butuan is known to have traded with Champa in present-day Vietnam and China. Sophisticated gold-working techniques similar to those practiced in India and Indonesia attest to close cultural affinities. Magellan's chronicler Antonio Pigafetta describes hierarchical societies whose leaders wore impressive gold ornaments, such as rare examples in the exhibition. Other gold ornaments, implements, and ritual objects that were accidentally found near Butuan in 1981, popularly known as the Surigao Treasure, are in the permanent exhibition entitled Gold of Ancestors on the 4th floor of the Ayala Museum. Far from aspiring toward an encyclopedic representation, the exhibition Intertwined, Transpacific-Transcultural Philippines aims to generate new insights from diverse perspectives using a few carefully selected, evocative images. Our journey of self-knowledge concludes or begins as we encounter the early Philippine inhabitants. our pre-colonial ancestors. The bodies of water surrounding the Philippine archipelago did not separate, but rather connected Philippine coastal communities to other cultures across the seas. Hindu and Buddhist imagery evident in some of the gold objects suggest familiarity with these world religions before conversion to Islam and Christianity.